Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
Welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage. He's Tim. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can find us online at santaclaritastar.com. What we're going to be discussing this week is we're going to be talking about the Trump rally that was held on school property at Bridgeport Elementary, and we're going to be talking about the new COC board member that was just appointed. And in sports, the Canyon High football team won a nail biter against Castaic in the opening week of Foothill League play, and Valencia beat Saugus to win its first game of the season, and Hart beat Golden Valley and ended the Grizzlies' 4-game winning streak. The Rams won their first game of the season in dramatic fashion over the visiting San Francisco 49ers. And finally, we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani. He's in the 50-50 club now. So he hit his 50th home run and stole his 50th base of the season, becoming the first player to hit 50 homers and steal 50 bases in the same season. So first off, let's talk about the Trump rally. So supporters of presidential candidate Donald Trump have held routine rallies in the parking lot of Bridgeport Elementary, a school that belongs to the Saugus Union School District. So Trump supporters adorn their vehicles with various flags and decorations, and the rally culminates with what they call a Trump caravan. The cars basically go on parade around Santa Clarita. So while the parking lot does not fall under the jurisdiction of SUSD, vendors selling Donald Trump hats, t-shirts, and other paraphernalia have been setting up shop on school grounds. Santa Clarita Weekly was there at 2 of the rallies for this month, the month of September, and we have photos and videos of vendors selling merchandise on school grounds. This has caused a lot of angst among local parents. As far as we know, no one has attempted to remove the vendors off of school property so far. The rallies are held on Sundays when kids are not on school grounds. So a new member has joined the Santa Clarita Community College District Board of Trustees. Carlos Guerrero was appointed to fill board seat number 5 at the board's September 18th meeting. Guerrero replaces Joan McGregor, who recently resigned after serving on the board for 31 years. Guerrero is a social sciences professor at Los Angeles City College and a lecturer at CSU Northridge. He brings a wealth of experience in higher education to the board. He's also a dedicated volunteer in the community, serving on the site council at Golden Oak Community School. And he did say, I'm passionate about the transformative power of education, and I'm committed to supporting policies and initiatives that enhance student success, promote equity, and strengthen the connection between the college and the community it serves. So the College of the Canyon's interim president, David Andrus, lauded Guerrero's appointment, noting his perspective as a college professor and his passion for higher education would be a valuable asset to the board. Guerrero will serve the remainder of McGregor's unexpired term. Board seat number 5 will be up for election in November of 2026. You're listening to KQRU 107.9 in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Saturday mornings at 9 and on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Tim, and he's going to be talking about Santa Clarita High School football. Tim?
Okay, so the Foothill League football season started, the first week of Foothill League play started last week, and one of the games was Canyon versus Castaic, and this was a game of between two teams that that had a pretty good preseason. They were 500, 2-2 coming in. Both won some big games, both lost some tough games, and this was a really close game all the way to the end. The Canyon High football team scored a tie-breaking touchdown in the fourth quarter and blocked an extra point attempt to beat Castaic 36-35 in their Foothill League opener. With the score tied 29-29 in the fourth quarter, Canyon's Evan Watts scored a touchdown to give his team a 7-point lead. Castaic's Monty Coleman followed by scoring his third touchdown of the game to cut the lead to 1 point. But Canyon's Joshua Campbelliza blocked the extra point attempt and preserved his team's 1-point lead, and Canyon held it and won. Canyon improved to 3-2 and handed Castaic its third loss of the season. The Coyotes are 2-3 after 5 games. Canyon quarterback Sebastian Martinez threw 3 touchdown passes and passed for 150 yards. Canyon plays Saugus next. Castaic takes on Golden Valley. The Valencia football team beat Saugus 62-21 and won its first game of the season. Valencia running back Brian Bonner scored 5 touchdowns and had 314 all-purpose yards in the game. He rushed for 169 yards, had 97 receiving yards, and racked up 48 yards on kickoff returns. Bonner scored 3 rushing touchdowns, and caught 2 touchdown passes. Valencia led 27-15 at halftime. The Vikings outscored Saugus 35-6 in the second half, scoring 4 touchdowns in the third quarter. Saugus lost its 4th game in a row. Valencia quarterback Brady Bretthauer threw 5 touchdown passes and had 302 passing yards in the game. Valencia receiver Nick Seymour caught 2 touchdown passes. He had 3 receptions for 73 yards. Valencia has a bye next week, and Saugus plays Canyon in its next game. I got to talk to Coach Larry Moore about how his team is playing right now in the season, and how they are reacting to winning their first game of the season. Team. Valencia won its first football game over Saugus on Friday. It was the first game in the Foothill League season. So tell me, Larry, how do you feel about winning your first game of the season, and how were the kids responding to winning the first game of the season?
It was terrific. I'm just super excited for the kids that they got their first win, and it's been a long time coming. So from that standpoint, I was excited for them, and I was happy for them. Just to kind of feel the positivity from all the work that they've done and put into it. We've had a really rough stretch of 4 weeks there that have been really rough, and you keep kind of fighting through it, and you kind of like keep on it, keep working and all that stuff. But it gets rough because it's you're struggling through some things, and but to all the credit in the world to the kids, they did a great job of keep pushing and keep listening and growing and staying out of the self-pity and all that kind of stuff and frustration, and kept working every day and had a great attitude every week, which was super important for us. So I was happy for them, and I was proud of them. I was proud of the way that they responded and kept working, and the way they came out on Friday night. They did a really great job.
Brian Bonner had a big game for you, scored 5 touchdowns, and was kind of a dual threat for you, actually triple threat with the kickoff return game as well, special teams play as well. Tell me about his game, him scoring 5 touchdowns, and really just having a breakthrough game this season.
Yeah, he's again another guy that he's worked really hard and does so many things for us. He is so talented in so many different ways in terms of running with the football, catching the football, in the special teams and catching kickoffs and everything else that he does. But so you have to kind of figure out different ways just to get him the ball and get him in space, or get him running off tackle or up inside and everything that you want to do. But you're just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands, and if you can do that, then you're going to put yourself in a good spot just because he's so talented. Talented players like that, just get them the ball and let them kind of do what they do. And we're fortunate to have him, and he's really responded, I think, and he's really kind of grinded out. I thought he did a really good job against Rancho Cucamonga. It didn't show up in the stats and those kind of things, but I thought his play, he really kind of ran hard between the tackles and ran tough and did some really good things that doesn't really show up in the stat sheet. But I thought, man, he's doing the right things, and he keeps pushing. Even though it's tough, he's still pushing in the right direction, which was really good. So we were happy that he was able to kind of show what all his work and everything he's put into it.
It looked like Brady Breadhauer, your quarterback, had a good game too. Good game passing. Seemed like he was hitting the right people at the right time. But you tell me, how did Brady play, and how has he developed this season?
Oh, I think he's come a long way. I think he's such a talented quarterback, and the thing about Brady is he's a talented football player. He can run the ball. Heck, he can play linebacker. He can play receiver. He can play running back. He's just a good old-fashioned football player, but he's a talented quarterback as well. And so we really challenged him because I know he can run and he wants to run, but really challenged him to get the ball out into the receiver's hands quickly and things like that. And he's done a really good job of that. I think the last 2 weeks he's done a really good job of getting the ball out and getting it out on time, where he's not running around a lot and getting his offensive line into a pickle. He's done a good job of getting the ball out on time, and as he grows in that, I just think he's going to be more and more lethal because he can run, and he runs really, really well. So he's about as talented a quarterback as there is out there.
Okay, and finally, what is your outlook for the rest of the season? You're 1-0 in the Foothill League. You won your first league game. How do you see the rest of the season unfolding?
I think we got to. I know it's boring coach talk, but like, if we could just keep down the path of the work and staying positive and taking every week as an opportunity to continue the growth, and every challenge that comes our way. We've had a lot of challenges, so we've shown that we can kind of keep pushing through them and keep coming out on the other side at just a better football team, and that's where you want to be. So we've got a bye week this week, but next week if we could come out and do those things where we're pushing and fighting for better execution and being sharper and everybody understanding their role a little bit better. We've had a lot of guys hurt and we're getting a lot of guys back, so like that's kind of exciting for us. And so we're expecting to have 4 or 5 new guys out there that we can be able to create a little bit more depth for us on the offensive line or defensive line or linebackers and even receivers. So that's exciting as well. It's because the more depth we create, I think this is the better football team.
The Hart football team rolled to its 4th win in a row, downing Golden Valley 34-14. Hart took the early lead in the game on an 82-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Jacob Paisano to Packer Maxwell. Maxwell caught 7 passes in the game for 154 yards. In the first half, Paisano scored a rushing touchdown. Zach Ragozic added a touchdown run, and Hart led 24-0 at halftime. Jamison Torres and Anthony Siragusa scored for Golden Valley in the third quarter to cut the lead to 24-14. But Ragozic scored his second touchdown of the game, and Hart kicked a field goal to go up by 20 points in the fourth quarter. It was Golden Valley's first loss of the season. Hart is 4-1 after 5 games and has won 4 games in a row. Golden Valley is 4-1 after its first 5 games. Hart plays West Ranch next. Golden Valley meets Canyon.
All right, Tim, I have questions for you about this. So how did Canyon's late game defensive stand contribute to their victory over Castaic?
Right, yeah, so it was the special teams, and the defense played a big role in this game too. The defense for Canyon was able to stop Castaic when it needed to. I mean, this was a back and forth game. It was a little bit of a shootout at one point, but at the end of the game, it was the special teams play for Canyon that won this game, blocking an extra point after Castaic scored a touchdown that should have tied the game. It should have, at least tied the game and maybe sent it into overtime. But instead, Canyon came up with a big block. They knocked down the extra point attempt and able to hold on. I mean, I'm sure they're relieved to escape this game with the win, and they're off to a good start. They're off to a good start in Foothill League as the Foothill League season starts.
Okay, so it looks like Valencia is improving. So what are they doing to prepare for the rest of the season?
Right, yeah. So Valencia is improving, and I talked to Coach Larry Muir about the turnaround. I mean, beating up on Saugus is it was a good game for Valencia to have. They needed this kind of confidence. They needed to put up a game like this where they were scoring a lot of touchdowns. They were running the offense the way they wanted to, and a lot of players had big games in this one. But the big change, the big thing that has changed at Valencia is they've had a lot of injuries. And I was talking to Larry, Coach Muir, about it. A couple weeks ago against Rancho Cucamonga, he said that he had 14 players out with all different sorts of injuries, ankle injuries, hamstring injuries, and some kids have concussion. Some kids are on concussion protocol. So he said they were down 14 players for the Rancho Cucamonga game. They only suited up 28 players for that game. And so they're getting a lot of players back that are healthy. They're getting a lot of players coming back from injuries. And on top of everything else, they've had a couple transfers into the team that are eligible now too. So not only will they be getting players back from injury, they have some players who have been sitting out because their eligibility, their transfer eligibility hadn't gone through yet. So now they will have a full squad. They will have a deep squad now. That's one thing that Coach Muir was talking about, is that his team is all of a sudden deep at a lot of key positions. So that was the big change. They have healthy players. They have players that are eligible to come off of their transfer restrictions, and that they just click. They're going to be a tough team to beat for the rest of the season.
All right, so let's switch to the NFL and our favorite football team, the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams were missing star receivers Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp for their home opener at SoFi Stadium with the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams needed a boost from other players on the team to avoid going 0-3 to start the season. Tutu Atwell and Xavier Smith delivered to carry the Rams to a surprising win over the Niners. The Rams erased a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter, down 24-17. Kyren Williams scored a touchdown to tie the score. It was set up by a 50-yard catch by Atwell on the 5-yard line, and it was the third touchdown of the game for Williams. So the biggest play of the fourth quarter came from Smith because of all the injuries to the Rams players. He was called up from the practice squad for the game. He returned the first punt of his NFL career, 38 yards, to set up the game-winning field goal. And kicker Joshua Carty put the Rams up 3 points with 2 seconds left to play in the game. The Rams avoided their third loss of the season. The Niners dropped to 1-2 and left LA angry and bitter after losing a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. So let's listen to Sean McVay.
Hey, Sean, speaking of Xavier, did his performance yesterday, has that caused you to rethink or reevaluate how you're looking at the punt returner position right now?
Well, he'll continue to be the punt returner if that's what you're asking. He did a good job. He had 2 ops yesterday, 1 fair catch, and then 1 big return that is obviously well documented. And I thought he's really put a lot of work in. It's a cool reflection of the work paying off, him continuing to just stay steady, and then being able to have the opportunity to deliver in an important moment for the team. So he will be the punt returner moving forward. So happy for X.
And along those lines, I mean, what was it like just seeing the entire sideline basically erupt as he's ripping off that 38-yard return?
Yeah, those are some of the most fun things to go back and you watch. And Dan Demetrison does a great job of kind of capturing a lot of that. So do the TV crews. So when you look at those things and you see, the sports are an amazing thing in terms of the emotions that it can elicit in a positive way when things go that way. But that was really cool. I think there was a ton of guys there's a lot of people that really care about X, appreciate the work that they've seen him put in. And then to be able to get an opportunity to deliver for his team and make that kind of play. Guys were jacked for him and obviously for our football team for that, giving us a chance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wyatt.
Byron Young had a big game yesterday. What do you make of his performance, and what do you think are the biggest things that he's improved on this season?
I think he's really coachable. He's so conscientious. Joe Caniglio does a good job with that group. I thought he didn't hesitate yesterday. I thought made plays in the run. I mean, shoot, even the big hit that he makes on Juwan Jennings early in the game. He's a zone dropper playing visual on Purdy, ends up triggering. It was a really good play, ended up making some impact plays in the run game. And then at the end of the half to have the sack fumble, that was huge for us. He's got a great motor. He's so strong at the point of attack. He's just physically got a really impressive stature, but I think he's just continuing to mature. Like I said, so conscientious. You give him some things to improve on, and he really puts it to light. He really puts the work in to see that, have the practice preparation and the practice performance equal game reality. And he was a game ball guy for our defense, and that was cool to be able to see because of some of the things that we had looked at him to be able to improve upon, and he did that. And now let's continue to use that momentum for the right reasons. But love BY, was happy for him.
And Tutu Atwell obviously had a big game, but he also had some crucial, catches early on that maybe got overshadowed by the big one at the end. What about him makes you, want to trust him in some crucial situations?
Well, he's done a good job with that, Wyatt. I think a couple key third downs that he made catches on. Obviously, the deep ball on our sideline was a great track over his shoulder. And then I think I think he ended up with 93 yards on the day, but he had a 48-yard PI that doesn't go on the stats, but it moved our offense forward 48 yards that led to a scoring drive. So there's a lot of trust. I think he and Matthew have a good trust. He did a lot of really good things for us last year, and let's see if we can build on that. But Tutu made some big plays for us. He knew that he was going to get an opportunity, and he delivered. And again, just happy for him. And now let's see how we move forward the right way.
So Shohei Ohtani not only created the 50 home run, 50 stolen base club, he did it with style and flair. And Ohtani hit 3 home runs and stole 2 bases in a 20-4 win over the Miami Marlins to join the 50-50 club. He became the first player in Major League Baseball history to do it. He entered the game needing 2 home runs to reach 50. He hit 3 in the game. He needed 1 stolen base to reach 50. He stole 2. And he left Miami as the first player with 51 home runs and 51 stolen bases in the same season. In addition, he drove in 10 runs, went 6 for 6 with 2 doubles to go with his 3 home runs. He broke the Dodgers franchise record for home runs in a season, passing Sean Green, who hit 49. It is being called one of the greatest single games in baseball history. The Dodgers head into the last week of the season with the best record in the National League. They play the San Diego Padres at Dodger Stadium in a series that could decide the National League West title. The Padres are still in contention for the division championship, but they are running out of time to catch the Dodgers. So the Dodgers end the season in Colorado for a series against the Rockies. In the elevated Coors Field Stadium in Colorado, there is no telling how many home runs Ohtani will end the season with. But the playoffs are in the future for the Dodgers, no matter how many home runs Ohtani hits. So, Tim, how does Ohtani's accomplishment of reaching 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in the same season compare with other iconic moments in baseball history?
Yeah, this game, the game that he hit his 50th home run, stole his 50th base, it's already being compared to like some of the greatest games ever played, like when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record. It's being compared to that game. It's being compared to the game where Pete Rose broke Ty Cobb's career hit record. It's one of those games that is going to go down in history as one of the most memorable in history. And the way that Ohtani broke that 50-50 mark, broke into that 50-50 club was an incredible game. It's one of those games that is going to be remembered not only because of its historic significance, but because of how great Ohtani was in this game. I mean, going 6 for 6 rarely happens. Hitting 3 home runs in a game rarely happens. Driving in 10 runs in a game, that rarely happens too. So he had 3 incredible accomplishments in a game where he hit 50 home runs, he stole 50 bases, and just created a whole new level of excellence in baseball.
So how has Ohtani's presence changed the landscape of Major League Baseball, and what impact has he had on the game's popularity?
Yeah, this is the reason why Major League Baseball is playing games in Korea to start the season. They're going to be in Japan next year to start the season against the Cubs. You know, it's not, I don't want to say it's having no effect or little effect in the United States and in the actual American League and National League cities that the Dodgers visit, but it's having an effect there too. You know, he brings out fans, new fans to the game, you know, new fans that wouldn't necessarily be interested in baseball just to see him play. But his influence on the game, his effect on the popularity of the game, I think, is more international. You know, the Asian markets, the markets in Korea, the markets in Japan are interested in Ohtani. They love Ohtani. They love seeing him play, and whatever team Ohtani plays on becomes the favorite team of fans in Japan, in Korea. You know, all the baseball crazy countries on in the Asian market. So I think that's where his biggest effect has been.
So how might Ohtani's performance in the series against the Padres impact the Dodgers' playoff chances?
Right. Yes. I mean, the Dodgers still have some work to do before the playoffs start. They haven't clinched the NL West title, and if they do clinch the National League West Division Championship, they will avoid a first round playoff series. They'll have a bye. They'll be moved on into the second round, and they may have the best record in baseball too. They're still, you know, in position to have that mark as well. And if they have the best record in baseball, they will get one of the worst teams, one of the not so good playoff teams in the next round. So, you know, Ohtani needs to keep playing as well as he's been these last couple of weeks. He's going to need to slug the Dodgers not only to the best record in baseball and the best record in the National League West, but he's going to need to come up with some big hits, some big at bats, some clutch plate appearances to get the Dodgers deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, congrats to Ohtani for making the 50-50 club. But folks, that's our show. Tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 9 on Saturday mornings. You can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly online. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. The show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
You are listening to KQRU 107.9, a new voice for Santa Clarita. KQRU is Santa Clarita's local station for indie alternatives and progressive talk, the smooth jazz at night to soothe your mind after a hard day's work.